But I'll tell you, it might be a hell of a Christmas at the Cora house pretty soon, because Bob Nightingale of USA Today reported over the weekend that as Alex Cora heads into the final year of his contract next year, kind of like Bill Belichick, which will be this upcoming season, Alex Cora would then be a free agent. And according to Bob Nightingale, there are multiple teams who have their eye on Alex Cora. Now, so far, this Red Sox free agent season has not gone to plan. Now the Yamamoto sweepstakes are taking a turn, and we'll get to that. But just in terms of Alex Cora, Craig Counsell sort of blew through the glass ceiling of managers getting paid. Counsell got a 5-year, $40 million deal with Anaheim. No other manager in big league baseball makes more than $4.5 million. So are the Red Sox now going to have to dip into their pocket a little bit to be able to keep their manager happy?
It is amazing that, other than, what was it, 20? So you got 2018 World Series. You got the, 2021 ALCS, right, against Houston. And he doesn't get blamed for anything. It's either John Henry or Chaim Bloom or whoever's running the team. And even with that, he's universally regarded as a really good manager, a good guy in the clubhouse, can, bilingual, can kind of interact and, and deal with anybody. He should be coveted from other teams. He's the type of guy that can easily, and he's proven it, if you have a really highly talented team and they're just not, the players and the manager, they aren't coexisting, he'll roll in there and he'll handle it right away. If there's some sort of disgruntled player, he'll roll in and fix it. Well, I believe it.
Do we covet him here?
Well, you're gonna have to, because if I was him, I would tell him to leave. I would tell him to leave.
Really?
And go get paid. Yes, go get. I cannot believe when you brought this up, looking at the salaries of how poorly compensated these guys are, and with all the stuff that they have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not another profession where the guy who is maybe basketball, but even then, they don't have as many games. 132 to 82. Traveling, speaking to media. I don't know how many interviews they do before a game and after a game is unheard of.
162, so people don't yell at you.
I said
132.
Oh, sorry, 162. Right. It is amazing that they're just not compensated. I'm amazed how they don't pay them.
Well,
they don't value them.
And there's nowhere to go. And what we mean by that is that if, say, Bill O'Brien gets shoved out the door here at the New England Patriots, let's just say, if he can get a college head coaching job, even in like the Sun Belt now, you're going to make over $1 million. You're going to push $2 million. If you get a bad job in a Power 5 conference, you're looking at $5 million a year. There's no place for, like, Alex Cora could not unplug and say, yeah, I'll go be the head of the University of Miami program and go make a couple $1 million down there. It doesn't work that. Like, the college baseball doesn't support those kind of salaries very often. And even then it would be a pay cut. You're talking about $2 million at the most at the best programs in college baseball. So in a way, there's nowhere for these guys to go. It also, in a way, in my opinion, explains why Alex Cora has looked up and not sideways. Alex Cora knows he could play the manager game and probably get a job 2 or 3 times over. He's a vested guy. People like him within the game.
He's got that with him.
He would get at least 2 more jobs in big league baseball. But what we've heard Alex Cora talk about is moving upstairs, because I think there is a little more security in baseball in terms of some of those upstairs jobs. So I can understand why Cora would look that way. But maybe Craig Counsell has now changed everything, in that if it ends up timing up right, there's no way that Alex Cora couldn't become, a $6 million a year manager, if not maybe even pushing higher than that. Like, I'm going low on an estimate. But the question is, will the Red Sox extend for someone that would be considered like uncapped personnel? Like, there's a collective bargaining tax you have to work under in terms of, but this would be.
Pay him as much as you want.
This is exactly right. If you love the guy as much as you say you do, you could come in and just say, fine, I'll give him $10 million a year because I value him and I want him here. But that doesn't seem to be the way the Red Sox are running right now.
Imagine you run a Fortune 500 company, and you're searching for a CEO to run your company, and you tell that person, we're only going to pay you $1.5 million, and everybody working under you is going to be being paid 20 times that. But you're still their boss. We're still going to blame you. You're still responsible for structure and leadership and everything else, and we're only going to pay you X amount of dollars. We'll give you a little bump if you make, the CEO company, Fortune 500 company playoffs. That's the only way you're getting extra cash. It is remarkable. And I would say, out of all the coaches, I don't know, maybe you know better than I do, I always go to the NBA coach has the least to do with the game itself. The least amount to do with it. Baseball, I know football, they are hands-on. They actively, if you have a dumb football coach, you are screwed. Baseball would say, hey, go hit a home run. Hey, pitcher guy, go throw a complete game. Like I would say, you have less to do with that, with the outcome of game, than any other sport.
Well, I would say that you nailed it in terms of basketball. On the whole, they probably have the least impact in terms of the managing of the game and stuff. There are timeouts and everything. I think in the NBA, you get paid to manage the egos and the personalities of some of those babies in that league who've come up and just had their ass kissed all the way through AAU. So a lot of them think they're God's gift. Good luck in dealing with that. In hockey, there's definitely tinkering. In baseball, now I think with the way they've kind of changed the rules, the manager does matter in terms of managing how many guys do I got, in the bullpen, how many of them can give me X amount of outs now because of the rules and bringing people in and out of games. I think baseball, a la the NFL, where they shrunk the field goal posts and made kickers and then moved stuff back and made kickers more important. I think with some of the rules in the game right now, the manager has become more important. But this also comes down to somebody that is 100% a great fit for this organization. And we had heard that the owner loved Cora, which is part of the reason why he was here under Chaim Bloom. And then you have the conflict is probably the wrong way of putting it, but it's the only thing I can think of Breslow knows Cora and played with him and understands the value, but might Craig Breslow, unlike Chaim Bloom, actually be allowed to go to the owner and say, I want my guy in that spot? That's because to me it felt like, even though they went through the charade of the process last time of ultimately landing back on Alex Cora and bringing him back into this organization, I wonder if Breslow has at least a little more stroke to be able to pick someone other than Cora if he wants to.
Yeah, sure. But I feel like Cora is good if he decides to leave, and I think I don't even think it matters what his record is. I don't think it matters how he ends. He knows how to manage players. Like, he's good at it. His problem is he's not been supported by management. They have been tinkering with this, giving him that, suck it up, deal with it, overcome it, make the best of it. That has been the message that I think has been given to Cora. And he sat there and he's done the best of it. Hey, let me create this whole underdog mentality to give our guys something to get behind. Let's rally around the whole Chaim Bloom underdog. Let's create a symbol and let's act like that's all by design. He's trying to muster some sort of, anger and animosity directed at Bloom for him not giving him any help, because we all know Major League Baseball players get all sad and upset during the trade deadline when management doesn't think they're good enough. Management doesn't add. They don't believe in us. So, okay, let's circle the wagons and let's do it our way. Let's get a whole cardboard cutout of Chaim Bloom like they did in Major League.
Oh yeah.
And slowly
peel
take a
the
piece
sections.
off.
I don't know if it would be. I don't know if it'd be as good as the owner in Major League, but nevertheless, you understand the exercise on that.
But he will be compensated, and if he wins here, they'll compensate him, or he should leave.
But here's the reason why I bring up the Breslow piece of it, is because remember when we talked with Alex Cora when all this stuff was going down? And they let go Chaim Bloom, and we knew they were going to go through the process over there at Fenway, John Henry and crew, of finding whomever their next head of baseball operations was going to be. And when we would ask Alex Cora about his job status, he never blinked. He never flinched. He gave us the hey, we're going to have our organizational meetings, and I know I'll be back next year. And we asked him a couple of different times last year as well in our weekly chats, and it was the same answer. I take from that someone told Alex Cora, you're safe. Don't worry about it. Because he was really definitive in giving those answers. So that makes me wonder, where was he getting that from? Because there was no Heim Bloom. They were looking for their next baseball guy.
Sam Kennedy.
If not Sam Kennedy, it had to be the guy above him, or the guy above him told Sam to tell him it was okay, or whatever. So we know that ownership has already gone to this guy in the middle of a hiring cycle that could affect him, and they were like, nope, you're safe. Don't worry about it. That makes me wonder the Breslow piece of it. Because let's say next year they're a 500 team, okay? They're 81-81. And there's the referendum of what do you do with Cora? We already had one silly in the chat be like, Cora doesn't win unless the roster's stacked. Like, I'd love to know what champion, like, if the Oakland A's won a world title, you'd then be able to say, that roster wasn't stacked. Like, I don't get the whole, we've turned it into every sport now. That coach needs players to win. Well, which one doesn't? Like, seriously, it's so stupid.
Dave Roberts can't win with a stacked roster.
Oh, that's right. That's right. By God, yeah. Good. Why would we look at the other way? It's the manager that's supposed to go, hocus pocus, turn all this junk into gold and go bling like Tinkerbell and hit the ding, and there you go, and it all turns into something. It's such a stupid narrative by people. I can't understand it. But this is going to get interesting because say the Red Sox aren't doing well during the year. You know what we're going to hear 80 games in, Christian? We got to fire the manager. Manager's got to be a problem. Got to fire the manager in all this. Meanwhile, the Yankees are flying to L.A. to meet with Yamamoto today on now what looks like a contract for this pitcher that everybody said was guaranteed to go to the Red Sox, or that they were the leaders in the clubhouse, however you want to put it. So the Yankees are going to meet Yamamoto. Supposedly the contract is now getting near $300 million. And John Heyman of MLB Network rolled out that, some of the big market teams are now starting to blink because the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Tigers, all these big market teams are involved. And I would dare say that if John Heyman is starting to report that big teams are starting to kind of blink or flinch a little bit, there is no way in hell the Red Sox are not one of those teams, because it seems like as soon as the number starts to go past whatever they expected, it's like, let's push away from the table, as if they didn't go into it expecting that the number could go way past what they thought.
And that's just the kind of this is so different than the way it used to be. And I think that's what a lot of people have. Like, it used to be the Red Sox were in on these deals. They were, and if they lost it, it's because it was like came down to the last second. And now, it's like as soon as it hits a certain number, you're just like, too rich for my blood. So I would not be surprised if the Dodgers weren't also in on Yamamoto.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so the Yankees are going to fly all the way out to the West Coast, and the Dodgers, who still have money to spend based on the fact that Ohtani deferred so much money, you can easily see how Yamamoto would be like, oh, that sounds like a good deal also. And I would say, don't rule out any of these teams, because from what I remember on Friday, or was it Saturday, John Morosi tweeting that Ohtani was flying en route to Toronto.
Oh,
he got on that source. They got him on that one. He wasn't, and he's sitting there at the backtrack and apologize. And other people are coming to his defense because it happens to all of us. Well, fine, it does, but it doesn't mean you're we actually just sit there and forget about it. The fact is, Ohtani played it perfectly. Yamamoto is probably doing the same thing. There will be a team. Because Dave Roberts was the only one who actively came out with the restrictions that Ohtani put on everything. He misspoke and said, oh, yeah, we did speak for like 3 and 4 hours. They didn't hold it against them.
You're right. Maybe because it
was $700 million.
$700 million that made all the difference in that. It feels like whatever the big move was that the Red Sox had in mind, it feels like it is slipping away now, because unless there is some kind of something out of left field, no pun, that is not on the radar, Ohtani's already gone. Soto has been traded, and Yamamoto feels next to sign. And just by judging the way some of the reporting is going from guys like Heyman, it's almost sounding like the number's going to get to a point where the Red Sox are just going to push away from the table. So then what would be left? Jordan Montgomery? That's not going to okay, it's going to be, hey, nice signing. Good. That's a good piece. That's a nice place to start. But there's no big move coming.
No, and it doesn't mean that if you can look at the Padres, you can look at the Yankees and they all spent a lot of money. They didn't make the postseason. And then you can look at what the Orioles did and what Arizona did. Smaller market teams, revenue not as high, and don't pay their players as much, and they did advance. That to me is irrelevant. What's relevant to me is the overall philosophy. It used to be first into the building, first one out.
Mm-hmm.
We're going in first, and we're coming out with cash. And they don't do it anymore. So to me, it's a general philosophy shift that I think should irritate most people.
Nick, who was the dude that was actually on the flight to Toronto, the Morosi?
Robert from Shark Tank?
Oh, Robert Herjavec, I think is his name. So that guy went on Dancing with the Stars, believe it or not. I think that guy was on Shark Tank. He got on Dancing with the Stars. I think met his now wife. And it was that guy who was flying from, I think it was like Burbank, California, to Toronto on a private jet. And somehow it got all betwixt and between and all tangled up that was Ohtani on that jet. Man, oh, man. You know who didn't get duped by it? Baseball Isn't Boring with Rob Bradford or Play Tessie with our guy Coop and others. They didn't get duped by that kind of crap.
No, never.
Only
Coop
Morosi.
checks his sources.
See, you know what happened was he went from John Paul Morosi to John Morosi. And when you lose the connection to the Pope, you probably lose some connections within baseball. That's going to be my guess. Maybe he's got to go back to being John Paul Morosi, and then some people will end up funneling him a little more info.
He had like whole TSN offices like crowded around a computer tracking this plane.
It's unbelievable how this has now become a part of the, so the reporter can show that there is a flight in air, but they have no idea who in the world is in the plane. But that now is reporting. I think a couple of old heads on Sunday, wrote some think pieces on the, back when I got into the game 75 years ago, we had to okay things in ink before we put it in ink. That kind of deal, and sort of how the reporting went sideways. Pretty crazy stuff.